of when we rely only on data like this, okay, we're going to make a persona, a segmentation based on men born in 1948, raised in the UK, married twice, living in a castle, who are wealthy and famous. The marketing for these two individuals would be completely different. So we want to make sure that when we're looking at the data that we're using to craft personalized experiences, we're not making assumptions, and we're really thinking about who these people are more than kind of the stats about who they are to that degree. So a lot of times we're focused on the components that go into the products or the services that we offer. And this isn't specific to financial services. I've spent 20 years in marketing for a good part of that self-employed, working with all different kinds of industries. And it's true in every industry. Whatever you're putting together, someone might be asking for that thing, but what is it that they're really after? And this comes from a framework called Jobs to be Done. And what it is looking less specifically at, who's this person by the data that we look at, and more like, what does this person really want? In this case, the skateboarder wants to, achieve their goal of doing a kickflip or whatever he's doing, or, the high of, the experience of like floating through the air. Whatever that is, that's what they're really after. And so that's what we're marketing to, or designing experiences around, or really aiming to deliver for our clients, members, partners as we go along. So just something that really stood out to me in the conversations yesterday is that we're all trying to figure out how to do this in whatever department you're in. So if you're in UX or design, how do you make sure that you're building something in to the experience that's offering this, what they're looking for? As we go forward, looking at how do we build these feelings into the designs?
I know we didn't talk about this before this morning. Can we chat just a little bit about the vendor research and how you're bringing that mindset to more deeply understanding? Can I, without sharing too much?
So we're just embarking in some research with partners, and really wanting to look into building more of a, we talked yesterday a lot about consistency. So we want to create consistency without, lacking personalization, and that's another theme that came up yesterday. So we're really looking at how do we develop sort of the gold standard of what it's like to work with us. And we heard Bikram yesterday talking about, I don't know if it stood out to any of you guys when you listened to this, but talking about this is what happens, and then this is what happens, and there's an SLA for this, and there's a really consistent and well understood pattern to the experience that is great for a client when we talk about feelings, they might have a fear about what's going to happen as I advance through this process. If your team can say, here's what's going to happen next, and they understand and can anticipate what is that person going to be feeling as they go through my journey, they're better equipped to say, okay, now I have comfort in this, because the team member, the employee experience they're delivering, they know what to do. So it really kind of connects that dot. And so we're looking to do that through some additional research as well. What do we do when we want to move forward, but leadership keeps asking for more research? And I kind of thought about that last night, and it's like, if we flip that around and make the leadership the client, and we use this type of thinking to say, well, what is it that you need to move forward, or why are you asking for more research? What is it that we're not telling you? There's a fear, or there's a something that we're not tapping into for our leaders in that scenario. So we want to make sure we're tapping into the desirability and delivering on closing the gap for our teams and for our clients. I do think it's so important to include the teams. We can't always include them in every level, right? There's certain things that are moving forward no matter what, but in the absence of input from the teams, the term buy-in, I don't love the term buy-in, because it necessarily means I'm doing something and I want you to buy into it. I prefer the approach of what I call co-elevating. Like, how do we approach this so that we're all trying to do the same thing, right? Within our organizations, whatever that may be, we're trying to move forward and deliver on something for our clients. How do we come at that so, credit and sales and product and IT and everyone kind of comes to the table and says, yeah, let's do this where we're all improving the experience for our teams, for our clients. So it's really that connectivity that I think is so important internally in any organization, where you're like, oh, this is just going so well, right? Like sometimes you get into a project or you're working with a team and you have that gel and that energy and, everything's just clicking. It's like, from my experience and perspective, it's like, double click on that. Like, why is this feeling good? And what does that mean? I have a term, I think it's Adam Grant that coined it, burstiness. I work with, my team has the creative department within it. And so, whenever we're having meetings, when I know we're doing it right, there's burstiness. People are excited about it. There's energy. We're talking about what we're going to do. There's no bad idea. Like everything is just feels right. And that's the exact same thing. And I think, I'm looking at your diagram, Anita, and it's just like, that's the reality of business, isn't it? There's no like, your team and your project, my thing, whatever. It's system thinking. We all need to kind of understand, our parts in the function of the business and look at how we can create that burstiness and create that energy, especially and or acknowledge when we have an elephant. So it's about just kind of staying in tune with what's happening in the business and within yourself as you're approaching things. I think delivering the client experience, when we say, here's what we're trying to do, really know what you're trying to do. And then what is it like for our team to deliver it? Is there a peak positively or negatively for the team that's trying to do that thing as well? So if you say this is a moment that matters to clients, let's do this, what does that mean, for the rest of that overlapping system that we just looked at? And how do we make sure that everybody's co-elevating to make sure that that experience can happen? I think it's Stephen Covey, one of your 7 habits, like begin with the end in mind, know what you're trying to do, and then why you're trying to do it. Like, are you trying to, in the example of the skateboarder, like what is the client trying to do? What are you trying to give to them in the experience that you're designing for? That's a really great place to start, because sometimes we go, why are we doing this? We're doing it because of this. Are we considering that? Like coming back to that, what is it that we're really trying to do for the client